decided what you're going to do with me?
I'm working on it.
Meanwhile, I remain a prisoner.
You are free to do what you want as long as you stay in the village or with me. But if you cross the line, I'm the one who will straighten you out. So one false move and I blow you up. It's painful. Are we clear?
Yes, very clear. And perfect timing as well. It just so happens that I have absolutely no intention of disturbing this delicious village in any way. A place whose tragic end now seems ordained, and over whose corpse the red scribes and freeborn blades will scrabble in the bleeding mud. A spectacle which promises to be unique, and one I wouldn't dream of missing for the world.
Well, enjoy the show. But if I ever need your help, I want to be able to count on it.
Very well. You may consider that we have an arrangement.
I would like to ask you a few questions. Alas called you a sorceress. Well, are you one?
A sorceress? Only a rube or an imbecile would call someone a sorceress. If Aeolus had even a minimum of intelligence and discernment, he would have chosen another term. I do a bit of magic, it's true, but that makes me a magician. Nonetheless, my abilities could never rival those of a Lord of the Frozen Shadows, even if I am far more powerful than any Red Scribe will ever be.
So this demon inside me, what is it?
I can't say for sure. I've only rarely ever seen something so interesting, but all the same, I'm certain of one thing. Your host is directly linked to the World Heart.
To the World Heart?
It's a simple question of logic. The ritual performed by the scribes had to make contact with the World Heart somehow. Your affinity for flames is a crucial clue.
Okay, but what's my role in all this?
For now, you are the vehicle. You'll have to decide if you're going to use its power or just be a simple vessel.
Can we win this war?
You already know the answer. What was the last battle the Dead Walker army lost?
I never heard of them losing a battle.
In fact, the last time was 12 years ago. In those days, Vertiol didn't even know the Lords of the Frozen Shadows existed, or that they were at war. This all took place in a kingdom in the northeast. I don't recall the name, but their victory was destined to be short-lived. A few days after having stopped the Dead Walker army, the kingdom was razed to the ground by an even greater offensive.
But then it is possible to win a battle.
You haven't understood. Whatever the result of a battle, the Dead Walker army feeds. Whether they win or lose, they always prevail. All the bodies that fall are eventually integrated into their ranks.
It's a war of attrition.
If it were only military victory they sought, yes. But don't forget, they are crafty and intelligent. They can defeat you long before you are overwhelmed by a ruse or by magic.
Sounds promising. Thanks. him.
Well, first go see your steward before the villagers decide to burn me at the stake. I mean, if you want to, Vulcan.
It'll probably turn into an interrogation pretty quickly. Try not to make it worse for yourself. And don't kill anyone, for starters. Especially if he's wearing red.
That seems reasonable to me, for the moment.
Here we go. Another one of these hick refugees. There's nothing for you here.
Open your eyes, Smithy. I'm one of the Freeborn Blades.
Of course. I'm guessing you have need of my precious services. Alas, nothing that would truly put my talent and virtuosity to the test, I'd imagine. Such is the sad lot of the true artiste in times of war. So, what can I do for you?
Show me what you have for sale.
Gold. So vulgar to work with. So wonderful to own.
I'd rather stay here if you don't mind.
Why? You're not planning to give me the slip by any chance, are you?
I don't like the idea of getting locked up by the Red Scribes again. It might provoke me into a loss of my legendary restraint. And I'm sure that you don't want to have to scrape another one of your employers up off the ground.
Well, it's true that I prefer they remain in one piece. All right, fine, you can stay here. But if you do get it in your head to run away, I will find you. You won't like it when I do.
I'm trembling, but yes, I'll wait here.
Oh, did you find this famous beast?
Found it and killed it. But don't hold your breath waiting for its fur for next winter, because I didn't bring it back for you.
Excellent news. I knew the village could count on you.
Actually, not so excellent. Alis is dead.
Dead? But no, that's not possible. Are you sure?
When it doesn't move and it doesn't breathe and it looks at you with an even stupider gaze than one of your guards, that generally means it's dead, yeah.
I demand that you show some respect. The Red Scribes are a precious help to us here. Aeolus was a useful man, a good man, and he was under your care.
A precious help, huh? You know the beast didn't get there by accident, right? Your precious friends put it there to guard a woman that they've been secretly holding prisoner for weeks.
A woman? In the middle of the swamp? That is unusual. But why would the scribes choose to do such a thing?
Other than the fact that they're walking libraries, we know nothing about their sect. Nobody's got any idea what they're capable of. But everybody keeps their mouths shut because they can do a few tricks. And we never had better doctors. Aeolus was even ready to kill his own daughter to cover up his secrets.
What nonsense is this? How can you make such ridiculous accusations? Am I to understand he died at your hands?
He turned up all alone at the place where I fought the beast. No guide, no escort. He knew the way. And after coming after Sybil, he tried to kill his captive to shut her up. There was a fight, and he didn't survive.
What madness. What do you know of this prisoner? If Aeolus held her captive, she must have been dangerous.
I don't know much. Edwin isn't exactly the talkative type.
Well then, you must find out immediately. As of now, she is your responsibility. I should deliver her to the Red Scribes without any further ado, yet, after what you have told me, I no longer know what to think. She will be given a fair hearing. Until that time, she never leaves your presence. If there is the least incident, I promise you, you shall answer for it. And there is no prison here, in case you had not noticed.
Okay. Sounds fair to me.
However low your opinion was of Aerlis, his death is a great loss for Valvenor. He was meant to be looking into a most disturbing matter.
All right, I can see where this is headed. What do you want?
There is no guarantee that you have the necessary skills to handle this matter, Freeborn Blade. Even Mirana is flummoxed.
What is it? An epidemic?
That's exactly what I'd like to know. Several of the villagers have been behaving curiously of late. They have become distant, taciturn, and barely react to the world around them.
They're just hungover. You'd know if you got drunk more often, and you look like you need to.
I believe there are a few here who know the difference. It's something else. They seem very concentrated, as though they are observing us. I feared some kind of sickness, and that it will spread throughout the village.
Got it. I'll slap him around a little. That should wake him up.
My goodness. That's not exactly what I had in mind, but I must confess the results interest me more than the methods.
Well, that's gonna be my method, so let's leave it at that if you don't mind. I'm not helping you because you made puppy eyes at the captain.
Mr. Vulcan, what brings you here?
I've got a few questions I'd like to ask about this village.
I imagine there are few who are better placed than myself to answer them.
How come it's you that's running the show here?
What a question. Because, my friend, someone has to. You imagine I'm doing this for my amusement, perhaps? Doubtless you wish it was someone else. The chief of the watch has trouble organizing 3 peasants. Our dear apothecary is evidently keen to give succor to any and every poor soul who wanders into the healing house. And regardless of your reputation, the people of this village would never trust outsiders such as yourself, or even the Red Scribes. So yes, it is indeed I who command here. The one-time steward of the hunting lodge of Valvenor, now leader of this shithole.
Well, hell. Glad we got that cleared up. Who are all those refugees that you're keeping outside the walls?
The war with the Ice Lords has driven many from their homes and villages. Alas, it would seem that some of them found their way here. I have tried to accommodate as many as we can, and provide as much comfort as possible, but I fear we can do little more. We are reaching the end of our reserves, and relations between the refugees and the villagers are becoming strained.
The refugees can't all be dead weight. Some of them have got to be useful.
Oh, if only. Believe me, I would be the first to welcome them. These peasants have been fleeing from town to town and from camp to camp for months. The best and strongest of them perished in battles, somewhere along the way. I must deal with the leftovers. I put the biggest of them in the watch, but they are of little use.
What can you tell me about the people of Valvenor?
Before the war, there were just a few families here. Hunters and craftsmen, mostly. These days, they survive as best they can, husbanding their animals and digging up the puny vegetables they've managed to grow. Few dare to venture outside the walls. These woods are fruitful, but more perilous than ever before, and most of these folk know nothing of arms.
But you've got your guards.
They hardly qualify as an armed militia. Of the few that remain, most are sturdy farmers whom we have entrusted with some kind of weapon. Most of the real fighters left the village as soon as war broke out. The others died while out on patrol. The only one left here with any real experience is Mason, the head of the guard. Sadly, the man is a walking beer keg, who could not give a dog's fart for what his men are about.
The healing house. It's a pretty good thing for your village, huh?
If you say so. As time has gone by, the healing house has drawn refugees to the swamps in ever greater numbers, and dissuaded some malingerers from returning to their families. When it opened its doors a year ago, the sense of relief was palpable. It was run by a couple, an elf doctor and his apothecary wife, who clearly were no strangers to the healing arts. Thanks to them, we were spared many plagues. But as the war dragged on, the endless tide of refugees continued to flow through our gates until we could harbor no more. 6 months ago, our worst nightmares were fulfilled. Our elf doctor fell ill and died. Since then, Mirana has soldiered on without rest, alone. I do not know how much longer she can keep going. The refugees just keep on coming. And I fear that poor woman is beginning to crumble under the strain. It's not surprising.
I need a blacksmith. Do you have one here?
With none more qualified, I asked Asiel to take over the village forge. I suppose I should warn you, he's quite a tricky character. He has a huge ego and is stubborn as an ox. Before the war, he was a sort of artist. He crafted jewelry and sculptures from metal. Despite running the forge, one could hardly call him a blacksmith. But he's the only one here who had even the vaguest notion of how to repair a shovel or straighten a blade.
The captain wants me to help your village. You got a job I can do?
With our shortages of food and fighting men, our worn-out equipment and the growing lines at the healing house, I cannot deny our village is sorely in need of help. Sadly, I fear that these are not the sort of problems you are used to dealing with, unless I'm much mistaken.
Maybe I'll surprise you. Your guards... how can I put this? At first, I thought they were disobeying orders. Now I think maybe they don't even understand them. If you're stupid and incompetent, you should be digging turnips, not taking care of security.
You're beginning to worry me. Is it really that bad?
Are you kidding me? The state of their weapons is enough to make you cry. Maybe they'd be good for splitting logs.
Personally, I'm not capable of judging the aptitude of our sentries, but their poor results speak for themselves. Doubtless, you should share your observations with Mason, the chief of the watch. I should warn you, however, that he is of a somewhat stubborn nature.
Wouldn't be the first I've seen. These suspicious characters that you were telling me about, where can I find them?
They could be anywhere. I'm afraid I must get back to these reports. The best thing would be for you to ask Mason, the chief of the watch.
We'll talk again later.
Mr. Vulcan, what brings you here?
Let's talk about work. So what's the problem with the healing house?
Quite simply, Mirana cannot keep up. She spends every waking minute giving out supplies to the refugees and refuses to admit that she cannot help everyone. She thinks she's fooling me. I have heard rumors that her food stock is running low. Unsurprisingly, the crowds outside are becoming restless. I believe they wish to continue handing out our food reserves as though they were unlimited. This is not the case, and thus, it is not an option.
So, you want someone to put her down?
Why, I never suggested any such thing. I just wish she would see reason, for all our sakes. But I have asked nothing of you. I was merely answering your question.
We'll talk again later.
As I understand it, some people are behaving even more stupidly than they normally do?
That's right. They have asked me to check it out.
Perfect. I'll come along with you.
Hang on. What is your interest in all of this? Is there something you're not telling me? What are you trying to prove by coming with me?
How perceptive, how brilliant.
Yeah, great. Just tell me what you know or think you know about all of this.
All right, but keep it to yourself for the moment. We don't want to start a panic, at least not until we're completely sure of ourselves. It seems to me that I recognize these symptoms, and if I am right, these people are possessed.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm not yet certain. We absolutely must inspect and investigate further in order to be sure. But I think the Deadwalker army is behind all of this.
All right, let's go.
Is it true you killed the beast?
Is it true you quit the booze?
What? Ah, that's a load of bollocks.
I thought so, but I did kill the beast.
Right. Okay, then. You and me, we got off on the wrong foot. We owe you one. That's a man's job you done.
A barfly like you probably knows a lot about the people here, I'm guessing, huh?
Flattery will get you everywhere.
You look like you can probably handle a sword. How come you didn't get recruited?
Oh, just unlucky, I suppose. Last time an Alliance recruiter come through, I was stuck in the crapper. Worst dose of the shits I ever had.
Forget I even asked.
So, I never got to the front. I can't tell you how much I regret that.
You look like you can probably handle a sword.
Oh,
Forget.
so...
What's your opinion of the steward?
My opinion? Tell the truth, I never liked how he talks, like an elf reject. But he does what he can. And honestly, he manages better than I do. Him and me, we ain't always seen eye to eye. For example, if it had been up to me, I'd have driven them refugees back into the swamps. And fuck what that bleeding art apothecary says.
How is it going with the refugees?
I'm not a monster. I got nothing against sheltering a few brave souls. Most of my lads are blokes who are here to protect their families. But enough is enough. I just can't protect everybody. You can't squeeze a whole city into a fucking life raft.
How well do you know Randall?
Wow, not enough to trust him with his airs and all. The night with this and the night with that. Having said that, he has saved us from a few accidents in the village. He's a damn good fighter, and he don't ask questions. Balls of steel, that one. Sometimes I think he must have a death wish or something. If that's so, he ain't taking the easy way out. But then, who gives a toss? When he turned up a few weeks ago, it certainly took some of the pressure off. But he acts like his shit don't stink. Obviously, me and the lads aren't good enough for the likes of him.
According to the steward, some of the villagers have been acting strange. Do you have any suggestions?
Hey, I'm not a bloody oracle. Bring me some clues, something concrete, anything, and then I can help you.
Okay, I'll come back when I know more. I'm going.
Haven't you anything better to do than bother me?
Hang on a sec. The steward himself sent me here to give you a hand.
Wonderful. I've been after him for months to get me some help, and he sends me an armed ape. You practice medicine, I presume? Your tools seem rather barbaric.
The tools are fine. That's not to say I don't get a little barbaric sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Believe me, I've already used them to do a little surgery on a few evil tongues, and nobody ever complained once.
So be it. If you're as gifted as that, I guess I have nothing to lose. In fact, there is something that you could doubtless do for me. I'm worried about my assistant Heyman. I haven't seen him for a while now, and I fear he might have gone into the swamps to look for the plants I need. We're forced to venture further and further in to find the plants we need. With all that's been going on lately, I forbade him from going back out alone, but the boy is nothing if not stubborn.
Stubborn? Yeah, I hate people like that.
Please find him. He's a good boy. He's done nothing but help others since he arrived. Without him, the House of Healing would be a house of death.
If I'm gonna be slogging through the swamps anyway, might as well take a look around and try to bring back the plants you need too, right? You got any drawings or descriptions?
Yes, that's a good idea. I would be grateful to you. But above all, try to bring back my assistant Heyman in one piece. He is your priority. For the rest, basically, I need food, medicinal herbs, and of course, I wouldn't say no to a few pre-prepared potions. All of our stock seems to disappear so quickly. I'll give you the parchment that I made for Heyman to help you recognize the specimens I need. He knows them by heart now, after so many trips.
Right. Plants, potions, chow, and one assistant. If I come across any elven tea, would you like a cup of that too?
That would be lovely.
I'd like to see what you have to sell.